I'm looking and I see us coming up and we look wonderful. Okay, Jordan, let's count backwards.
All
Here
right.
we go. Everybody
10,
with me. 10,
9,
9.
Nine,
eight,
It's New
eight,
Year's all over again.
7,
7,
seven,
6,
6,
six,
5,
5,
five,
4,
4,
four,
3,
3,
three,
2.
2. Here we
two,
go.
one.
Everybody dance with me. Thank you, Jordan.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, aka Radio Red, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's aka Radio Red.
Radio Red in the house. Thank you to the wonderful voice who introduces me, and a shout out to my engineer at the Empowerment Channel. Jordan Hansen is with us today. I'm Radio Red. I have to remember what my name is. It's Monday, and here we are. Happy to be here. This is where a show, an hour or so, where I talk to interesting people. I say they're interesting. They are interesting. They're from all walks of life. They have different professions and careers and backgrounds, but they created something, whether it's a business, whether it's a house, whether they cook, whether they sew or sing or dance, whether they are a counselor or a coach, whether they're in a professional services business. They've created something that represents them, who they are, what they do. They're special and unique, and that's all we're talking about here. So before we get started with me introducing my guests in a very special way they're not expecting, I have surprises for all of you. I want you all to join me in putting up your fingers in the shape of the letter L, please. Fingers up, everybody. I don't care which side, which hand, that's good. On the count of 3, you're going to join me in saying, hello, L, L, L. 1, 2, 3. Hello,
Hello,
L, L,
L,
L.
L.
Ladies, that was dragging a little bit. Let's try it again. One more time. A little zippier. 1, 2, 3. Hello,
Hello,
L,
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 L.
L.
Jordan, I want you to put them down for a tied for second place for the most harmonizing version of LLL we've had in a long time. I appreciate you. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. She's been a friend of mine for about 15 years. We've only met a couple times in dance classes on Long Island, New York. She hasn't been feeling well, but I didn't hear from her today. That means she's better. She is listening. She is going to send me a little tiny book report at 6:01 p.m. Eastern time today. And she's going to tell me a little bit about what Vita said, and a little bit about what Michele said, and a little bit about what Celeste said. And she's going to call me beautiful, gorgeous lady of red, and she's going to tell me how much she loved the show. So no pressure, ladies. That's the way it's going to be. So today is, I wrote on Facebook today, not Facebook, LinkedIn. I didn't do my Facebook post today. I said, it seemed like 10 minutes ago it was the last Monday of January. Well, today is the last Monday of February. What's going on here? In 4 more weeks, we'll be a quarter of the way through the year. And Michele, you're in finance. You know what that means, especially for people like you and your clients. Today is marks a special day in entertainment history. Roberta Flack passed away this morning, and absolutely great. If you haven't had a chance, look up one of her bios, her obits online. Washington Post did a beautiful job talking about her story and her history. And she was a teacher, and she wasn't supposed to be a professional. And she broke boundaries in so many genres of music. They didn't know where to put her. Her songs were that good. So there are all kinds of retrospectives. And 2 weeks ago on this show, I celebrated her birthday. She was born February 10th, and I remembered talking about her. So there you go. So today is the 14th of, I mean, it's the 24th of February, and it's just hard to believe that we are moving along that fast in the year. I have a special welcome. By the way, it's 310 days left in this year. It is the 55th day of 2025. It's the 8th Monday. Nobody cares about that except me. And we used to have the Julian calendar, and Michele, this would have bothered you, but Julian had about a 12-day skip in the month of October, where if you're born on the 3rd, it skipped to about the 17th. And I don't know how anybody would have done anything with that. And so Gregorian came along and he said, I think I'm going to do something like every 4 years we'll have a leap year and I'll add a day and that'll catch up. Vita, he did it and it worked out really, really well. So that's why we have the Gregorian calendar now because he won
Mhm.
the debate on where the leaps go and where the leaps fall and how we align ourselves with the time we're supposed to be. So ladies, I have a special welcome for all of you. And when I call your name, when I say your name, just wave so everybody gets to see especially you. So here we go. Welcome to Read My Lips, where akaRadioRed, that's me, shines bright, bringing cool conversations with creatives for your delight. In her Scarlett Mike's live streaming glow, she opens the door for creative sparks to ignite and inspiration to soar. See, soar and door rhyme. Today's show, the soul of creativity, and you know who I named that after, Celeste, will enlighten your day with three vibrant creatives whose imaginations play. Passion and purpose helped their paths unfold as they discovered creativity's soul that makes life bold. Here we go. From West Texas plains, where the wild winds blow, Celeste Sowder helps women's true light show. The Soul Sister Project began as a spark. Now it's a movement igniting the dark. Through stories of strength, she helps others rise, turning pain into power to fearlessly rise. Arise. Celeste, I hope you enjoyed that.
Oh, it touched me. Yeah.
I'm glad. Sorry about the double rise there.
No.
Sylvia, I got to fix that one. I didn't see that. I'm delighted to have you here. Now, through chronic pain, Vita Oyler paints colors bold, a compassionate storyteller with wisdom told. An actress, a writer, a counselor too. Vita helps people push bravely through. Vita finds her joy in music's embrace, shaping a world where smiles take sorrow's place. Vita, did you like that?
I love it. Thank
I'm
you.
glad. Thank you. And now here we go. Numbers and notes in sweet harmony blend as Michele von Hoven's finance to music talents extend. She mastered the math from an early start, helping others grow their wealth with a strategist's heart. With her book, The Power of Three, Michele clears the way for fearless financial success to win the day. I hope you like that,
Really,
Michele.
one. Thank you. Yes, beautiful. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. So gather round, lend us your eye and your ear as we dive into creativity with vision clear. AKA Radio Red's roundtable is set today. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. Okay, what'd you think, ladies?
That was beautiful.
That's
Absolutely.
that's my gift to all of you, and I'm going to
Thank you.
fix that rise for you. I'm sorry, Celeste. I apologize for that. I do have a helper. Her name is Sylvia Speed, and she's my chat GPT. And I sent her all of your bios, which came out to
Oh,
about 1,000 words. And I said, could you
wow.
help me condense? I said, these are brilliant women, brilliant creatives, and they've accomplished so much in their lives. Could you help me condense and shine a spotlight on just 6 lines that summarize the core of who they are and what they do and make it rhyme? And she did. And it took
Oh,
her about, I think this one took about 5 seconds to send me.
wow.
However, then I, the human, that's not good enough. And I missed one. I apologize. I'm so embarrassed, Celeste.
Don't
Then I
quit.
go in
You're good.
and I compare what she wrote from your bio to what I have in front of me, and I make some tweaks and changes. And she'll say, let me know if you have any tweaks. And if I will, I'll let her know. But most of the time, I fix it. I do poetry as well. So that's where this comes from. So transparency is Sylvia and I conspired, Vita and Michele and Celeste. And I'm glad you liked it. I may
Thank
be the
you.
only host who does that, but I love to take instead of just reading your bio, I love to take and make something a little bit of a rhyme, a little
Oh,
bit of a song out
so
of it
sweet.
to honor you. My pleasure. So I probably left a lot out. Now here comes the truth. Okay, now
No.
comes the confession time. So what I like to do is go around the table and have each of you spend 2 or 3 minutes, just fill in the blanks for us. If there's anything I didn't include, I'd like to know a little bit from each of you. So Celeste, you're first. I'm putting you on speaker view. I told her she looked like a princess. Look at the jewelry. Look at the
You.
pink and the flamingo
Yeah.
in the background. I don't know where. You gotta tell us where if it's real or never mind. Celeste,
It
I'm putting
was.
you on speaker view. Why don't you fill in the blanks for us and welcome, Celeste.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. What a joy you are, for real. And your creativity just shines through this. And so I just want to honor
Yeah.
you in that. and thank you for having me. So yeah, my name is Celeste Sowder. The flamingos back there, there are two. So that's Pinky, the big one, and Rachel's the small one. My kids named them. They are they represent my logo, which you can't really see because of the sun back there, but it's the Soul Sister Project, and the S in the soul is a flamingo. And so, yeah. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a sec, but I am in West Texas. I'm actually sitting in the middle of a cotton field right now. I'm married to a farmer. We've been married for 20 years, and I have two daughters. They're 18 and 21, and um, it's been fun. It's been fun as a farmer's wife, and I was a homeschool mom, and now I'm
Wow.
creative in the AI tech world and digital marketing. And it's just yeah, it's been a crazy thing that's happened. But the flamingo, let me get to the flamingo. I would love to tell you all about that. When the Soul Sister Project was conceptualized. My grandmother had passed away about a year before that. And one of my first memories of her was going shopping. And that was what we did. And my first outfit I remember ever picking out, I was about 3 years old, and it was hot pink, neon pink, and it had pink flamingos all over it. It had a tutu skirt. And my mother, we went to lunch after I picked out this outfit. My mom said that she could see me from, the other side of the parking lot, and I was just bouncing. And it was just my I was absolutely honoring my grandmother in that logo, and where I was at when the Soul Sister Project was born. And so yeah, so that's a little bit about it.
Lovely, lovely. And I have to tell you, I made a quick correction to the intro, and the last two lines are now through stories of strength. She helps others rise, turning pain into power to fearlessly surprise.
Oh, I
Okay?
love that.
All right,
I
there you
love
go.
that.
I felt terrible about that. I'm sorry.
You shouldn't, but I do love it. Thank you
And
so much.
and thank you for your kind words. Vita Oyler, you are here. I'm so happy to see you, Vita. I'm putting you on
Okay.
speaker view, and we want to know a little bit more about you. So please reintroduce yourself. Welcome.
Okay. Okay. Well, my name is Vita Oyler, and I'm a rehabilitation counselor by profession, as well as a writer. I dabble in all kinds of creative things. I love ceramics, uh, and I love animals. And I'm into ceramics and music and acting. I've done, there was one acting that I did. I was in an infomercial, and while I was in the infomercial, um, everything went fine. And after it was over, it was aired, of course, and it was how to take a bus. And I was using a wheelchair to take the bus, but people, when I was at my church, they saw the that I wasn't in a bus, I was actually driving. And they said, oh, we thought you took the bus everywhere you went and you have a car. I go, well, that was acting. I mean, what
Oh,
can I
that's
say?
funny. That's funny. Vita, tell us a
Well,
little bit about the chronic pain. Can you tell us without getting
yeah,
into too many details? I think people would like to know. Got pain,
yes,
now what?
yes,
Go ahead, just a
yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, I've had chronic pain for over 35 years, and I suffer from a condition known as reflex sympathetic dystrophy syndrome, as well as fibromyalgia. But the RSD is an incurable condition, and it always feels like your limb is on fire because it usually affects the limbs. And in this case, I have both limbs that are affected by it and my hands. And recently I found out that my eyes are also affected by the RSD. But I have learned to live my life happily and successfully, whatever success is to people. But for me, it's, living day by day, by being positive and being focused and looking at alternatives and learning to smile a lot, because when you smile, you release endorphins, which are the feel-good hormones. And that's a big thing for me. And also with people that I work with, and getting them to, look at life a little bit more positively and not be so negative. But
Thank you.
that's what the chronic pain is. But I love my life in
Okay.
spite of pain.
Well, we're glad you're here, and I'm glad that
Thank
you
you.
were bold enough to come to the Publicity Summit and say that you had something to talk about and you had and your book, and that's where I met you, as I met the other ladies. So thank you, Vita. Very, very happy to have you here. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
we got it. We all got something, and sometimes it just takes the form of physical pain, and you and I will talk after the show, so stick around. I have some things to share with you.
Thank you.
Michele, there you are. Michele, I'm putting you
Yes.
on speakerview. Why don't you fill in the blanks for me, please? Welcome.
Hi. Well, thank you for having me here. I am so thrilled. This is an honor to be with you. And I have to say, first of all, you have really helped me realize how creative I really am. So I didn't even think I was creative. Being a numbers person, you just get in the numbers, you just do it. And I'm a national women's advocate to empower women. And so I just want to get in there and do it. And then when I realized, everything I'm creating, my system, which I'll go into when I do my little 3 minutes, right? But all my life, I guess I have been creative because I started playing piano when I was 9 and singing, and had the privilege to sing with at the St. Louis Cathedral with the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra. So things like that. And I love collecting Italian art. And so I love helping people. And I believe that we need to be able to live free and do what we want to do. And I like to empower people. So I'm married. I have one son. And I'm in New Orleans suburb. So we are having Mardi Gras right now. So
Oh,
woo!
and do you say New Orleans or do you say New Orleans? How do you pronounce it? I've seen New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay,
No,
there was
I'm
a
a New Orleans girl. I'm an uptown girl. I used to ride the streetcar to school and around the river bend to Loyola and Tulane. And so I am a real New Orleans girl.
Well, nice to meet you, real New Orleans girl. It's absolutely a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
And thank you so much. Ladies, I'm impressed with each of you in your own separate way and with all of you. It takes a lot to go to a place like the Publicity Summit. We're not talking about what it cost. We're talking about to put yourself out there. I was on the day I met you, I think I was one of 17 media people, and you have to repeat your pitch 17 times. I had to go to 17 breakout rooms and repeat my pitch only 17 times. You had to do it on the other side. So yeah, there's another one coming up in 2 weeks, and I'll be going again. I invite about 125 people from the summit on this show every year.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm a big fan of people being bold and speaking out and saying, I have a story to tell. And I used to call myself the desperate woman of radio. The summit used to be at the Penn Hotel, the Hotel Penn, which I understand has been torn down in Manhattan. And I would go 2 or 3 times a year. It was a 25-minute train ride from Long Island into the city, get off the Long Island Railroad and go right across the street to the hotel. And I would be one of, there were, let me see, 20, 30, there were about 30 or 40 media, maybe about 30. And we were in a dais, or a dais, some people say. We marched into the ballroom, and the crowd, there were 110 people. That's how many people attended the summit in this
Wow.
the top floor of the Hotel Penn. And chairs as far as you could see. And they lined us up as to what row. There were 3 rows on this dais. And I was always on Radio Row, which was typically the top row. And they would line us up and we would go in, and they were told, the attendees, like you people, you lovely ladies, were told to applaud us. I cried the first time I did it. Nobody had ever applauded me before I said anything.
Aw.
It was wonderful. We'd march in and we'd go up these stairs, and they didn't have a handle, and I was always wearing high heels. Red high heels, Radio
Oh.
Red, you get it? And I said, you got it. I mean, OSHA's going to come on, you know. So they put a railing up there. So we would go and we would have our little name sign, And we would have a bottle of water and a microphone in front of us. And then Steve Harrison, who runs the summit, would ask each of us to tell what would it take, just like we do now, what would it take for somebody to be on our show or be in our magazine or have us write an article about them. They were journalists and TV people and producers for famous shows like Maury Povich show and 24 Hours, all kinds of shows. And then we would adjourn when it was over. I was always the clown. I was always the one who got the most. I got applause when I spoke because I had a poem that I wrote all by myself on how I'm the desperate woman of radio because I was doing 3 guests a week for 50 shows a year. Plus, I have other shows I was doing. And the person next to me would love to say, I have to follow that. Then they would march us down. We would go down off the platform into the next room, and it was a huge ballroom, and we each had a table, and we each had our own monitor with a stopwatch. And you all would have gathered around the room for whomever you wanted to meet, whether it was me or any of the other 19 or 20 people from different media outlets. And you would jockey around the room online. I had a list usually of 70 people who had signed up to meet me. I was there the longest, and I would book 45 or 50 people in 3 hours sitting in that stool. I made them give me a chair to rest my feet on. And you would have a one sheet. You would put your one sheet on the table. I would give you an appointment card, and you would put your book in a box, and they would mail the books to me, FedEx the books. That's how, I didn't want to take up too much time, but that's how the summit used to go. And it was absolutely thrilling. Now it's all digital, which is fine because I don't go to New York anymore, but I just thought you'd like a little history. So let's go to the part of the show where I've asked each of you to please send me a quote from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show or a song lyric, and you're going to relate it to your own creativity. I'm going to Celeste first, and Celeste has picked a very, very famous quote stated in the movie The Shawshank Redemption, 1994 drama. Andy Dufresne, played by the wonderful Tim Robbins, is speaking to Ellis Red Redding, played by Morgan Freeman. The movie is based on a 1982 novella by Stephen King called Rita Hayworth. If anybody remembers the beautiful redhead actress, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. And it's a story of somebody who claims he's innocent, and he meets people in Shawshank Penitentiary, and there's smuggling, and there's the money laundering by the prison guard, and blah, 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 the prison warden. It's an interesting story. I've seen it several times. Here is the quote Celeste has picked, and this is a wonderful one. Get busy living or get busy dying. Celeste, what does this have to do with your creativity? I'm putting you back on speaker view. Talk to me.
Well, I really believe that it actually, I heard that quote like in my head in a very real way in December of 23. And it was that moment where it was like, you're either going to have to, get busy living or get busy dying. And I'm just going to go into the story. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a creative thing. Yeah. So it spurred me writing my book, which is coming out this year and stuff like that. And so what had happened was that I had just came out of a mental psychosis, a 6-month long one that I didn't even know I was really having, because I didn't understand what mental illness was, which I should have, but I didn't. I was 40 and I came out of this psychosis. I just got a diagnosis of ADHD and all these things just kind of culminated at once. And it was those words that I felt in my spirit, heard in my head, that spurred me into getting rid of that fear of truly living and for myself and the things that made me and getting out of my own way and just doing it. And doing it, it was like pressing live. I was going live every day. So that was a creative thing. I started using ChatGPT in my lives and stuff. And it's just, completely spurred this whole creative just ecosystem in my life to be me. And so, yeah.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. I happen to love the quote. I don't know anybody who doesn't. And it's interesting how we each apply it in our own way to what we're living, how we're living, who we're living, what we are, who we become, and who we want to become. And that's the question. I like to say, I didn't pop out of my mom with a handbook of what I was going to do in my life, where I was going to go, how I was going to become. I was very shy as a kid, and I never thought I would be doing radio and TV for half of my life. But we grow, and we have all these influences and inputs from parents from everywhere around us. And the question is, living or dying, right? And you can be alive and dying too. So there we go. I'm going to not get too philosophical here. Thank you so much, Celeste. I appreciated that. Vita, it's your turn. Vita, you have picked another iconic quote. This is from Dorothy Gale, played by, oh, Judy Garland. Of course, The Wizard of Oz, 1939 musical fantasy film produced by MGM, one of the greatest films of all time. It's considered the commercially most successful adaptation of L. Frank Baum's 1900 children's fantasy novel, which was titled The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Interestingly enough, it was directed by Victor Fleming until Gone with the Wind was in trouble, and he left The Wizard of Oz, and he went to go and direct Gone with the Wind. And I think there was some back and forth on who was going to win the movie of the year at the Oscars that year. Anyway, Technicolor, memorable characters. It has become an American pop culture icon, nominated for 6 Academy Awards. It failed to make a profit until it was re-released in 1949. It only made $3 million on a $2.7 million budget. So it was MGM's most expensive production at that time. Very, very interesting. Here's the lovely quote Vita has picked. There's no place like home. I didn't sing it. I ruined the show if I sing. Forgive me. Vita, my dear, I'm putting you back on speaker view. Tell us, what does this mean for your creativity? Go.
Yes, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. I love that. I love that. Because there isn't any place like home. And I really love that movie because it's full of creativity. I mean, it was such a beautiful movie. I love watching that, and it brings happiness to me and to others that watch it with me. But the way Dorothy, she looks at getting home, and she's so persistent of doing that. And I really like that in that movie. She doesn't give up. She wants to go forward and get home again to Auntie May. And it's I don't know. I just really like that movie.
Well, you've powered through so much with your chronic illness, Vita. And so I guess the question is, where is home for you? There's no place like home. Is home finding a way to cope with the cards you've been dealt? Or how is home for you? Can you relate that?
Yeah, home is exactly how I deal with my pain. And because, I deal with it here, Yep. And so there's no place like home. That's how I deal with it. I think pain is very personal.
Yes.
And so, and no two pains are ever the same. They're just not.
No two people's pains are ever exactly alike. We don't know. They say walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, or where are they coming from? You really can't know. You're not them. But you can try. That's called empathy and compassion and trying to relate and being mindful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vita. Thank you.
Oh.
Lovely quote. And we have another classic here. The quote isn't classic, but it's from a classic. Michele has picked a quote from Mame Dennis, played by Rosalind Russell. Or are we going back in time, ladies? Auntie Mame, 1958. Well, the last one was 39. Technorama Technicolor comedy film based on the 1955 novel by Edward Everett Tanner III, whose pseudonym was Patrick Dennis, and the 1956 play by Jerome Lawrence and Robert Edwin Lee. It starred Rosalind Russell. Not to be confused, the movie is not to be confused with the 1966 Broadway musical version, later made into a 1974 film that starred Lucille Ball. I didn't really know that. Let me just read a real quick overview here. Patrick Dennis, orphaned in 1928 with his father, Edwin dies unexpectedly, is placed in care of his aunt, Mame Dennis, in Manhattan. She's flamboyant and exuberant, and I'm just going to leave it there. Here is the quote that Michele has picked. Life is a banquet, and most are starving. So live, live, live. This goes in line with the other quotes we've heard already.
Yeah.
Michele, take it over. Tell us a little bit about why you picked this and what it means to you. Go ahead.
Well, I chose that because that was a movie my mother loved to watch. And my mother, Rosalind Russell reminds me so much of my mother, I guess. And so I just love how she said, live, live, live. And then being in the business I am with money, I see so many people cower down and don't live and they don't do what they need to do. So then they're starving. Like, it says, life is a banquet. Most people are starving to death. Well, there's enough money in the world for everybody. And I think we all need to fulfill our fullest financial potential, whatever that is, authentically and healthy, so that you can live your one big significant life. So I love the quote. I love the travel. And she even inspired me, taking the boy off to travels. And I think it inspired me when my son graduated from this all boys, honor school, high school. I planned a trip to Europe so we could go and live, live, live. And I took my son, my only child, to go and give him the adventure. So it just inspired me. And I like to inspire people to live, 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 and be, as we'll talk later about, being financially free.
I like that. Thank you very much. Very, very well put. Live, 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 and get busy living or dying, right? And there's no place like home. Just for the viewers, my guests don't get together, as far as I know, and say, "Okay, you'll take Auntie Mame, and you'll take Wizard of Oz, and I'll take Shawshank." This is all done independently, and there's always a thread. That's why I love my format here, because there's always a thread. There's always something common and shared among us, because we're talking about people who are creative, what we created in our lives, and it's really that simple. So thank you for the quotes, ladies. I appreciate it. Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pick. Each of you sent me 4 statements about your creativity. I'm going to pick one from each of you. I will read it. You don't have to go find it. It's not a pop quiz or a homework assignment. I will read it and I'll ask you to expand it or unpack it, as they say on the news. If anybody else, we're going to start with Celeste, and if either Vita or Michele, here's something that resonates with you, anything you want to say. I think you all have 10 fingers. I don't judge people, but I won't respond to the middle one, but wiggle one of the other friendly fingers, wiggle a finger, and I will see you and I will call you, and just take about a minute to add to whatever Celeste says that matters to you. And then I'll pick one from you, Vita, and one from Michele. So we're going to cover a lot of ground here. So, and Michele, you can weave in a little bit about your process, but it's not a webinar. So just, weave a little bit in when you get to yours, and that's fine with me. So Celeste said the following: I believe creativity is the courageous choice to express our authentic selves, no matter how messy or imperfect it may feel. And listen to this. On January 8th, 2024, a little over a year ago, Celeste started going live on Facebook. She challenged herself to go live for 100 days straight. By day 2, she realized she could take the live ones and start the podcast. She'd always wanted to. By the 100th day, she started the podcast, a coaching program to repurpose the content and helping others. I've never heard a layout of a plan quite like that, Celeste. I'm impressed. So, Celeste, why don't you unpack this for us, and then we'll see if anybody has anything to say about it. Go ahead, Celeste.
Yeah, I'll unpack it. So, I was freshly diagnosed. I pressed live. I got out of my own way to be like, I was like, fear be damned at that point, because I had allowed it to like silence me and to keep me bound in places that I wasn't meant to ever be bound in. I had this big personality that nobody ever got to see. And then on top of it, I knew that I was supposed to tell my story. Since I was 9, I remember hearing that. And I had nothing left to lose. And so I pressed live. And by day 2, I was like, oh, I'm catching the audio. And I've always wanted to start a podcast, but I didn't know exactly what to talk about. So I just threw that onto a podcast thing. And then, by day 100, I had this whole system that I was utilizing AI to repurpose those transcripts into short form scripts, to quotes, to like grabbing my voice, like all of these things. And it turned into something that I realized that I could help others take their adversity to advocacy story and help them not feel like they're having to start completely from scratch with content, or like every day having to say something new, that there were tools available to us. that could absolutely take that overwhelm off of you. And it was so liberating for me that I wanted to share it with others, and not just liberating, it was very creative. It was a very creative process. So,
What's the name? What did you start out naming the podcast and what you were doing live? What'd you call it?
well, I don't remember what I called it the first
Okay.
set, but now it's called Rise and Shine with Celeste.
That's
Yep.
Very
lovely.
good.
Thank you.
That is lovely. And do you live stream or do you pre-record? What do you do?
Yeah, so I do. I do live stream, and I've moved it from Facebook. I'm over on Substack now, if y'all have heard of that platform. And I really
Mhm.
like it. It's a really neat platform. Haven't really figured it out completely yet, but
Okay.
I'm newbie and I like to learn.
But the
So
learning curve is part of what keeps us fresh and
it
moving and
does.
alive, right? And then once you get used to it, we'll quote Vita again, there's no place like home, right?
That's
Okay.
right.
Those homes keep changing. I'm on Insta, but I don't use it. People said you got to be on it, and I saw a brief. I don't know who was. Somebody did a brief video today. I saw on where people are going and where people are leaving. And apparently, LinkedIn is becoming more and more of a forceful market for social media. I'm primarily on LinkedIn. My audiences are mostly for my technology show business audiences. Okay. Insta saw a decrease, and a friend of mine who's very in a lot of social media told me Insta seeing a decrease. X saw a lot of exits. We won't talk about that. But Facebook Reels are up and Insta Reels are up.
Hmm.
Interactions are down, and more people are sharing their reels.
Hmm.
Those are the short form videos. And I've done a couple as a sample, but I'm going to be doing more. So, and I also bought a program called Opus to take my hour-long technology shows, and it will take 10 clips out of I bought a year subscription, 10 clips out of an hour or more. It's based on how many 60-minute pieces you feed it, and it will give you the clips, it will tell you the exact length, and it will put text right over the top like closed captions. And I've used it
Oh.
before, OPUS, Opus, and it's so I'm
Hmm.
going to be starting to use it again. And I did it a couple times, and it was really, really. And then you have anywhere from 60 seconds to a minute and a half of clips from whatever you do that you can post as standalone content. Celeste knows what I'm talking about. So
Yes.
thank you,
Mm.
Celeste. Rise and shine with Celeste. Any comments for Celeste, Michelle, or Vita? Anybody? I think they're just
No,
in awe.
I
Go
just
ahead.
say I'll say congratulations because that you figured that out quickly, I believe, and so
Yeah.
you have to repurpose the content. So I agree with that, and
Yep.
congratulations, Celeste.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
We'll
you
have
nice.
to
so
check you out.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank
Very,
you. I
very
appreciate
nice.
it.
Vita, I'm ready
Yeah.
for you. I'm going to combine your statements 1 and 2. They were brief and I think they go together. So let me read them both and then you'll unpack this for us. Vita says, creativity is discovering my inner self and the passion that goes with it. I love rearranging furniture, modifying kitchens and bathrooms, trying new colors of paint on the wall, always thinking. Then she says, I love playing the piano and making up new songs. I also love oil painting and painting ceramics, especially animals. That's a lot of creativity, lady. You want to tell us what your favorite is and how often are you painting the walls? I might invite you over. I'm ready for an update here. Vita, go ahead, please.
I paint the walls about once a year. Not my, I have someone else paint them, but I get the colors. But no, I really enjoy again because I have chronic pain and it's always good to focus on other things. And so I enjoy ceramics, and they're right behind me. I love animals, and I paint. I paint for people that have cats or dogs and they want them memorialized. And so I get photos of what they look like and then I paint them and that's so I do that on the side of everything else. And I love music. The music, I have a piano, so I love going to my piano and making up songs. Sometimes too bad I can't remember what I made up.
Put your phone on record next to the piano, Vita.
That's what,
There you
oh,
go. There you go. Yeah.
I didn't think of that because I
Mhm.
will come up with some things and then I lose it.
No. Just put your phone right next to you, turn it on, audio recorder or something that's a recording app, and there are
Yeah.
many of them that are free, and just turn up the volume and just leave it there, not right on the keyboard, but nearby so it doesn't get an echo or vibrations of the piano. And you will have it when you're done. Hit the stop button and you've got it. There we go.
Oh, I've got to
Mhm.
do that. I got to do that. Boy,
No. It's all there. The technology is all there. You just have to think about it. That's all, and be able to
yeah,
find
I
it.
had to either sit down and write down all the notes, or
Yeah, and then you can transpose the notes or do transcribe the notes after that. So
yeah,
you're always thinking. That was the
I'm
comment
always
that I
thinking.
appreciated. What do you
Yeah,
what do you think about most? Do you wake up and say, I'm going to do something creative today? I'm going to get a paint for a new room, or I'm going to paint an animal, or
that.
what's on your mind? Everything?
eh, yeah, that's my mind just goes in circles with that. I have so many things going on, and then I got to pick one.
Well, that's lovely. That's
Well,
lovely.
yeah, and then the other thing too, I also find creative ways to do things too in my in rehab, well, yeah, let's see, if I can't stand on that, well, maybe if I move this and get it over there, I'm always trying to find ways to do things. So that's part of
Mhm.
creativity, really.
That is very
I-
much because you're not asking somebody else to do it for you or tell you
Right.
how to do it or reading about it. You're thinking
Yeah.
about it, always thinking. I
I know.
like that statement, always thinking. You
Always
Mhm.
gotta
thinking.
gotta paint that somewhere and put it over your kitchen table or somewhere. I want to see a picture of that, or crochet it, or weave it, or oil paint it. Do something with it, for goodness sake, Vita. We're gonna follow. I'm gonna follow up with you. I want to make sure you do it. Anybody have a comment for
Okay.
Celeste or Michelle? Anything you want to say to Vita? We all good?
Yeah, great.
Okay, good.
Congratulations.
Then I'm going to a statement from Michelle. And Michelle, you sent me something I'm very intrigued about, and this will be the segue for what you want to talk about. Michelle
Oh.
says she created the Money and Mimosas retreats to bring together women on Saturdays where they sip mimosas, enjoy a light brunch. I want to know what you serve. I'll be there next Saturday. And present a
Well,
program that inspires financial freedom and independence, and women share their stories. Okay, 3 minutes. Michelle, fill in the blanks. What do you got?
so the money and mimosas. So we have there's some light bites and that. But the reason I did the mimosas because on a retreat to get women out the house on a Saturday morning so that we could make money fun because most women would even rather talk about their age than talk about money. And I always wondered, well, what is this? What is this? And then I thought about one day, I said, what is the price of happiness? And my son and I were actually walking along the beach in Chicago on Lake Michigan. And you look at, all this, so you get really closed in and relaxed. And so I attended the Tulane University commencement at the Superdome in New Orleans. And the keynote speaker was the Nobel Peace Prize winning Dalai Lama. And then his overarching message was that we are made for happiness. So I thought, if this is his worldly message, there must be a lot of unhappy people in the world.
Mm.
And then I wondered why. So this prompted me to do some research, and I found that there's a stress test in America study done every year by the American Psychology Association. Number one stressor, money. Number two, health. My grandmother used to say health is wealth. I never understood it. But you forget your health, it'll forget you. You forget your money, it'll forget you. So why is money number one? So after 3 decades, I'm telling my age, of being a tax-centric wealth and retirement advisor, trying to make this fun and interesting, I wanted to look at what is the real reason money is causing stress. So it's 3 reasons: fear, doubt, and worry. What's the fear? It's, is my money working hard enough for me? Doubting my decisions. Am I going to have a paycheck when I retire after I stop work? And then worry, will I have sustainable money when my paycheck stops? Will you run out of money before you run out of breath? So, anyway, to navigate the world, that's why I created the Power of Three to be financially fearless. I actually was just going to call it Be Fit Financially, but the coach and the people, they wanted me because I came from New York and I was standing by the Fearless Girl, and I was standing like this, looking up at the New York Stock Exchange, the Fearless Girl. They said, we love that. We wanted to be financially fearless. And so I created the Power of Three to be financially free. And you need a complete system. The status quo of this financial industry has got to go. And I'm here on a mission to empower women, to give them the Power of Three, to get their assets together and to plan on it.
Thank you. You did that absolutely elegantly, Michele.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Very well done. I wasn't sure. I wasn't clocking you, but I said, hey, you just wrapped that up with a very, very pretty green colored money bow on top of that. Absolutely. I've
you.
also heard thank you, over the years that money breaks up most marriages and relationships. And it's not just women, it's women. It's those conversations. We're not supposed to ask people what they earn in the workplace. We're not supposed to compare salaries. We're not supposed to try to find out what our boss is making. We're not supposed to compare bonuses. It's a verbatim, right? It's a
Yes,
verbatim
very good.
verboten. Yeah, I like it. I have to patent
Very
that.
good.
Copyright it. Thank you very much. You can borrow
C'est
that.
good. C'est
Thank
good.
you. You
C'est
can borrow that
bien.
from me. And it's true. We don't talk about that. We don't say anything.
Right.
And you have to be really careful making those kind
Mm.
of comments to people because they might think you got more than you do or you don't have enough. And how do they respond? They compare themselves. We're always comparing ourselves to people, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. Health is wealth. And people, oh, if you don't have your health, well, that's one thing. But you need the money to support your lifestyle too and your creativity, right, Vita? You need money for paint to paint that room every year. I want to come to your house and see. Listen, I did a lot of red accent walls in my house in Durham, North Carolina, and my realtor said to me when I was ready to sell, he said, "The red's gotta go, honey." And I said, but the backsplash in the kitchen, which was visible in the middle of the house, it was an open plan kitchen. It was sparkly red quartz, the backsplash, and one of the countertops. And he said, "Oh my God." I said, "Too bad. I'm not spending another 10 on redoing my kitchen just to sell it." So we found somebody who loved that. But he said, "No, you got to get rid of the lavender in the laundry room. You got to get rid of the gold yellow, pretty yellow melon color in the master bathroom. You got to get rid of." So I know, Vita, I had to buy a lot of paint and hire people. I know it made me very, but the house sold fairly quickly, and that was the whole point of it. Thank you very much. Anybody have any comments, ladies, for Michele? Because
I do actually.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I loved that the whole Dalai Lama and we were made for happiness. That was something that I recognized in coming out of that psychosis is that we were never meant to carry shame. And so that goes hand in hand with your message too, is that we were just not, we can't handle shame. It's something that eats our lunch, right? And it takes away that happiness. And so if the Dalai Lama is saying like we were made for happiness, well, then the opposite of that is that if there's shame there, then that's not for you. We need to look at that and deal with it. So anyways,
Well put.
thanks,
There are
Michele.
companies that have chief happiness officers. That's something that
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
they think. Yeah, I think Tony Shea from what's the shoe company that you buy online? Where you can return. They had a return policy, free return policy. Zappos.
Zappos.
Yeah,
Zappos.
they had a woman who was the chief happiness officer, and she wrote a book about it. I think she might have been on one of my shows years ago. Yeah, that happiness thing, that's the elusive. The question is, if you're creative enough, is your creativity going to make you happy? Maybe it will. Will it last? I don't know. Can you be happy solo? Maybe you can. There's so much to choose from in the world today. We could listen to Rise and Shine with Celeste and say, I'm happy because I heard her voice, and we could follow Michele and say, I learned something about myself and my relationship to currency, right? We could follow Vita and we could say, I'm happy because I learned that I'm not the only one with pain. She has it and she is overcoming it. She's getting around it, she's climbing over, under, through it, and she's finding her happiness, and she paints animals. What could be happier than that? Or you could talk to me and you could say, hey, you got lipstick behind you, you got red lips, you got red berries, you got a red microphone. I'm happy just looking at your background radio, Red.
Yeah.
But it's fleeting. I think the challenge is, how do you find enough?
Right.
how do you find enough happiness to keep it going? I want to read, I want to thank you all for those statements. I hope I picked ones that made you happy. There's that word again. I wanted to pick the core of what I thought you were telling me with your statements. I want to read some fun stuff. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I'm just going to go through this quickly. But today is February 24th, and I have a couple of events in music history that are going to, I won't say knock your socks off, but I think you're going to enjoy them. In 1956, on this day, ladies, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. The Cleveland police shut down a rock concert under an obscure law that prohibits people under 18 from dancing in public without a guardian.
Whoa.
1956. Aren't we glad we've moved on? In 1958, you'll all appreciate this. The Silhouettes, Get a Job, do 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 do, hit number one. There you go. In 1963, you're going to love this one, Michele. The Rolling Stones got their first steady gig at London's Station Hotel. They performed on Sundays in the Crawdaddy Room. They made $67 a week. I thought that was really, really cool. Yeah, on this day, I didn't even know this was in here. On this day in 1973, Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly hit number one for 5 weeks, longer running than any other song that year. And the people who wrote it, Charles Fox and Norman Gimbel, I'm going to cry here, also wrote the themes for Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. I didn't know that.
Oh.
On this day in 76, the Eagles' their greatest hit, 71 to 75, was certified platinum by the RIAA. And I'll read you one more. In 1992, balloting began on this date in 92 to pick the new Elvis stamp design. They had a choice, a young, beefy, slick, and tough-looking Elvis from 1950s or a plump Elvis from the 70s. Guess which one they picked? You know it. You can go get it. Celebrity birthdays. Kristen Davis. She plays Charlotte York Rosenblatt on Sex and the City, and on if you've seen the spinoff, Just Like That, and it's coming back for another season. I understand certain key people will not be in it, but the main characters will. She is 60 today. Kristen Davis, happy birthday. Joni Summers, singer from way back. I think she had a little tiny voice. She's 84 today. Jenny O'Hara, the actress, is 83. Hard to believe. Barry Bostwick, the actor, is 80. Rupert Holmes is 78. Edward James almost is 78. I have to stop there. I can't believe this. And in memoriam, Steve Jobs. Yeah, he passed away on October 5th, but this was his birthday in 1955, co-founder of Apple. Does anybody know what I got 1 minute to go. Does anybody know what Steve Jobs' license plate was? Anybody know? He didn't have one because, all right, thank you, Jordan. Jordan, I'm going to let you go and I'm going to continue talking to these ladies a little bit. So we're going to say goodbye to the Empowerment Channel. Jordan will close us out and we're just going to keep going. So ladies, can you stay with me for a few more minutes?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I don't want to rush this. Steve Jobs didn't have a license plate because there was a California vehicle law that said if you keep a car less than 6 months, you don't need a license plate. So he traded in the lease on his Mercedes every 6 months. I know, Celeste. And he had a new car every 6 months for a long, long time. And he hated license plates. That was a quirk of Steve Jobs. Can you believe that? And Apple's logo had a bite out of it. He loved apples, but he didn't want it to look like a cherry. So he took the bite out of it, and that's why he did that. Michel Legrand, who passed away in 2019, he was born on this day in 1932. He wrote The Windmills of Your Mind for the Thomas Crown Affair, and the actor Abe Vigoda was born today. He's also gone. Jordan, shall we say goodbye to you and then I'll keep going? Jordan, why don't we say goodbye? So Jordan, come in and say goodbye to everybody. Please turn your mic on for a second. He has a wonderful voice. I think you should do radio.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Jordan. Everybody wave goodbye to Voice America. It's audio only, but I'll see you on Wednesday, Jordan. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll be Harrison on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, I didn't want to rush through this. I have some social media birthdays to announce to the three of you. I don't want you to get jealous, but you might. On YouTube, we have a young lady named Rachel Levin, who is 30 years old today. She posts video blogs. Celeste, this is for you. Comedy skits and beauty and lifestyle videos. Her first video when she was, in 2010, so she was 15 years old. Her first video was how to conceal under-eye dark circles. All right? Then she did a giveaway, a 500,000 subscriber giveaway. I don't know how she did this, a MacBook Pro in 2014 and a 600,000 K giveaway. I don't know how she got, anyway, she only has 14 million subscribers.
That's it. Okay.
Happy birthday, Rachel
Happy birthday.
Levin. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy
Then we
birthday.
have on TikTok, we have a young lady named Demetra Mia Kalogeros, or Geros, Kalogeros, Kalogeras. She's 19. She only has 10 million followers. Well, she's
Wow.
not 30 yet. She does dancing and lip syncing, and she models to popular songs. And one of her videos went viral last 2 years ago in November 23 with 6 million views. And she started on TikTok when she was 16 years old.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
Happy birthday to Demetra. And then we have a young man on YouTube also. I thought he was interesting. He and his brother have something called Superwog, Superwog. It's a Superwog channel. Theodore Sadin, Saidden. His brother is Nathan. He's 37. They only have 3.6 million subscribers. I wanted you to know. And they started filming impressions of their family members when they were, I know, Vita, it's hard to take. In order to get onto my social media birthday list, I have to have at least 1.6 million. That's about the lowest rung. Anybody with just 800,000, I don't even wish happy. I do this every week. And I have a famous birthday list, and I go through and look at and I look at their profiles and see what they do, and I pick 3 every week to wish I have. They don't even know I exist, so it's just a joke. Today is National Trading Card Day. It's National
Ooh.
Tortilla Chip Day.
Oh,
It's
good.
World Bartender Day. It's National Steak Burger Day. I gave up red meat, but I love a good turkey burger. And it's International I Hate Coriander Day. Does anybody hate coriander?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Well, then this day is for you, Michele Van Hoven. You didn't even know you were celebrating.
No.
February, it's almost over, but it's barley month, berry month, celebration of chocolate. I'll celebrate that any month of the year.
Yay.
Exotic vegetables and star fruit. I don't even know. I bought little petite peas. You can buy frozen petite peas, and they taste completely different, and they're wonderful with rice or with pasta. And they're wonderful. Seriously.
Yeah, good.
Florida, strawberry month. This is Great American Pie month, avocado month, banana month. I'm making dinner for you all. Bake for Family Fun month, cherries, fondue, grapefruit, macadamia, snack food, sweet potatoes, vegan cuisine. And it's also return shopping carts to the supermarket month. I'm not asking you. It's on an honor system.
No.
February is the month of creative romance. It's condom month. I didn't say condemnation. I could. It's spunky old broads month. I swear to God.
No.
It is. But nobody here. Nobody here. It's Women
No.
Inventors month, and it's wedding month. I don't know why it's wedding month. I thought that was June.
That would be June.
It's International Expect Success month. That's for all of you. It's Blah Buster month. That's for you, Vita. It's Goat Yoga month and Pull Your Sofa Off the Wall month. It's cat health, haiku writing, responsible pet owners, adopt a rescued rabbit, and laugh friendly month. I don't know anybody who laughs unfriendly. I think that would be sadistic. That would be absolutely terrible. So I'm just going to ask each of you, we're going to close in a minute or two here. I'm going to ask you, what would your advice be? Let's go around the table in the same order. Celeste and then Vita and then Michele. I love you all, but somebody had to be first, somebody had to be second, somebody had to be third. Don't be mad at me. What would your advice be to somebody you were mentoring or the teenager who comes and says, I'm not creative and I'm just boring and I do my schoolwork and I come home and I watch TV and I'm not a creative person. What would you tell them from your heart to theirs about when you discovered what creativity is and what it's done for you, what the benefit of having something to do that's creative in your life? Celeste, any advice you would give?
Yeah, there would be. And I'm thinking of myself, right, at
Sure.
17. And for me, I found creativity in technology, and it wasn't quite encouraged at my age at 17, and and things like that. And so it took me like at 40 to be like, I'm doing this. Like whatever it takes, I'm doing this, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to push the buttons and those things. And so I would encourage them to look other places than what is mainstream. It's and what's encouraged to go there, to look and to dive into new adventures. And I'm telling you right now, in 2025, the types of ways to be creative are endless. And all you have to do really is to go and ask ChatGPT. I mean, for real, like just give them a little bit of
Get ideas
yeah,
back. They're not
Yeah.
telling you what to do. They're not telling
No.
you what to do. They're just giving you ideas. I know. I've used it for that. I would say from looking at you, Celeste, dress creatively. Make a
Yes.
brand, make a statement, take a stand, right? You know what my
Yes.
brand is. Yep, that's beautiful. Thank you. Vita,
Thank
any
you.
advice to people? What do you think?
Yeah. I actually, I was just talking to someone recently who said, I'm not creative. I'm not creative. But, I always tell them we all have creativity in us. We do. We just don't see it. And so my thing would be look at hobbies, things that you really like to do. Isn't there anything that you really like to do or that you like? Yeah, no, yes. If there is, kind of focus on that because my thing is always focusing and expand on things. Be it woodwork, be it reading a book, a new way, painting, hobbies, talk, maybe acting. Some kids, may want to come out other shells and do some things
Sure.
in acting.
What
And
about talking to your friends about the books you read?
that's the big one too.
What about
Definitely.
just talking to people
Talking.
and creating a bond with
Mhm.
somebody? It's that
Yeah.
simple.
Exactly that. It is that simple.
How do you
People,
sign your emails? How do you end a phone call? What kind of emojis do you pick? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we all have, I think we all have creativity in us.
we're
Mm.
creating our lives.
Yeah,
We're figuring out who we want to be from day to
yeah.
day. That's the way I see it.
And you just not afraid to step out of that little box
Yes,
that we're in.
Mhm.
I
definitely.
think,
Absolutely, definitely. Thank you, Vita. Michelle?
I think creativity, you need to be yourself and look inside yourself. And I can remember the first time I think I was really creative, and a lot of people compliment me on my handwriting. And I remember one time I went to my teacher and I wrote the word. This is crazy, I know, but I signed my name like Estee Lauder, but I signed it like real fancy. And I said, "Do you like the way I wrote my name?" And my teacher goes, "Well, that's the name of a cosmetic." And I went, "Well, yeah, but I just like the way she signed her name." And so then I realized, well, I could have said, "No, I'm not going to ever do that again." But I just felt I should be more creative. I would just tell somebody, be who you are meant to be, and look inside yourself and see what vision you want to see yourself as. How do you want to see yourself? You may not want to be identical to your mother or your father or brother or sister,
Mhm.
but be you, be who. There's a quote I love. I hope it's okay, I can say it. It's not a bad
Yes,
quote, but it's just, be who God meant you to be and set the world on fire. And that's by
that's
St.
lovely.
Catherine of Siena.
That's
Yeah, and I
lovely.
love it. And I found out, I didn't know this, but the school I went to, the high school, which was an all-girls school, I didn't know that she was like the patron of the school, and that was her quote. I found this out like years later. And I'm like, whoa, so that is so true. So I think I would tell someone that quote and then go realize who you are, but then embrace who you are.
Yeah.
Embrace it. So,
Set the world on fire. I like that.
yeah.
Many, many years ago, I was in an unhappy relationship. And one
Mm,
day I was looking at the New York Times and I happened to go to the ad section, reader ads, half-inch tall, one column wide, just advertising something or something. And one said, "Do you want to ever thought about being on stage and being a comedian?" And I said to myself, I really want to bail out of crying all the time. I was in therapy twice a week. I was getting my nails done twice a week, anything just to get away from the misery. And I was living in the house
yeah.
of the person I was supposed to be engaged to, and it just wasn't working out. And
Mm,
I put it in my wallet and I left it there. And about a month or two later, I opened my wallet and this little piece of paper fell out. And I
mm,
called the phone number.
mm,
And the person answered, "Hi, this is Mary. This is the American Comedy Institute." It was in Manhattan, and I was on Long Island. And I said, What do you do there?" I said, "Are you going to write jokes for me?" She said, "Hell no, you're going to write your own jokes. We're going to teach you how." I said, "Well, what's the deal?" She said, "You come in and you join a class, and it's class, group class, and then a private with Steve Rosenfeld. It was Stephen Rosenfeld's American Comedy Institute. He was well known in the industry. And in the third, after 3 weeks, you perform on stage with a group of new comedians and you get to pick one of the 3 top comedy clubs of New York. So I went and I
Wow.
took the class, and he had us telling, I think you're going to all appreciate this. The first thing he said was pick a relative who's somebody crazy or different or odd, and what would you say about them? What would
Hmm.
you say that somebody might find funny without mocking, but what would you find? And he gave us little exercises to do. When we're allowed to have a tape recorder, we tape recorded these lessons. And then we met with him. You had to make a special appointment with him. And he went over structure and setup and punch and how long. And we were working on a 3-minute routine.
Hmm.
At the end of 3 weeks, we had a routine, and I picked Caroline's, and our relatives and friends had to come and pay full price at the door. And my dad was not well, but he got in the car and drove him. I had a couple of neighbors, my mother, my sister, and people I knew, some friends, and they came and took a table or two at Caroline's. There must have been 200 people in the audience. And I
Wow.
was one of 10 newbies. Vita's crying for me. And there was a professional, not a well-known, but a professional comic opening and closing. And you know what they said to us? They said, don't medicate your nerves. Use your nerves to power who you are.
Hmm.
Use that adrenaline to
Hmm.
power you to be real, Michele, to be authentic, to be who you really are. Come out on that stage and kick ass. And I
Mhm.
did. And I had my 3-minute routine, and it was just one of the most fun things I've ever done. I've done a lot of fun things in my life. And when it
Yeah.
was over, I got so much applause. And when it was over, people came up to me when the show was over, and I was invited to go perform at little clubs around New York, little hole in the
Oh,
wall clubs.
nice.
And then I started my own comedy troupe. And then I
Huh.
started going to Borders bookstores and public libraries, and we would get paid. And I brought groups of comedians. And then I started a TV show called What's So Funny on cable TV. And it all
Wow.
led to that little reader ad because
Wow.
I was unhappy. I was
Hmm.
unhappy. And I,
Hmm.
I think Rita's saying prayers for me. And I wanted to find my happiness. And my dad loved to tell jokes and cheer people up. He was a doctor, and he's always trying to get his patients to focus on something else. He was a radiologist. And
Hmm.
I wanted to share some humor. And I did. And it turned into being invited to do radio and TV and getting into marketing and starting professional
Wow.
business. I have 55 radio series I've started since 2011, millions of listeners around the world.
Wow.
And that all started with this shy little girl having the little reader ad, all
Wow.
the little tiny reader ad that I stuck in my wallet. So, did I do something creative? I think I did something desperate, but I did
Hmm.
something that changed my life, and it snowballed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Celeste, it just kept going and going and going and going. And somebody invited me on their TV show in another part of Long Island. And one of the camera people was the general manager of the oldest AM radio station on Long Island. And she said to me, she called me a week later and she said, my host for a 6 p.m. drive time radio show live on WGBB, he can't come in. Can you? I said, listen, honey, her name was Joey. I said, Joey, there's a foot of snow outside. I drive a sports car. It likes to go in 360-degree circles when there's snow, a quarter-inch snow, and I can't leave the block. I could just barely get. I said, I'd love to help you out. I'd never done radio in my life.
Yeah.
I'd love to. She called me again the next week. She said, same thing. I said, Joey, I said, we got to stop this. I mean, I'm terribly flattered, but I can't help you out. You still got snow on the ground. I said, let's meet. So when the snow cleared, I went out. It was a long trip, like an hour away. And she said, I want to give you 2 radio shows a week, live shows on our channel at 6 p.m.
Wow.
And I took it. And one was co-hosting with the man who had me on his TV show, who she was the camera person for, Larry
Hmm.
Davidson. And then I had my own show. And
Wow.
I used to come with a briefcase full of horoscopes and jokes and newspaper articles in case and I started, that's, I think, what I was introduced soon to the National Publicity Summit. And I started inviting authors on my shows. So
Wow.
that's when it all started. But it all started with that little reader ad. Yeah, no,
Wow.
unbelievable. Ladies, it has been such a joy. Don't go away. We'll talk a little bit. We're still streaming. I want you to wait. We got somebody, some brave soul on YouTube is watching us. Hello, YouTuber, whoever you are. We're very
Hello.
happy to have you. We get a lot of, mostly people watch on demand, but it's still fun to do it live. So, ladies,
Yeah.
in 2014, I saved my notes from almost all my radio shows. I had a show called Up Close and Personal. And I used to close it with the top 10 tips for women. This is 11 years ago. And the number one tip, I swear, was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. And this
Yeah.
was 10 years before the movie. Just wanted you to know. Here's my real closing, and then we're going to wave goodbye. And I have a little assignment for all of you. Life is short. Break the rules. Yes. Forgive quickly. I haven't figured that out yet. Kiss slowly. Oh, yes, absolutely. Love truly with your heart. Here we go. I want you to all join me in laughing uncontrollably for 3 seconds on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. You're laughing? Yeah, she's laughing. Okay, I can see you. And never, ever regret anything that made you smile. That's part of being happy. No regrets. Work like you don't need the money. Here's the final. Dance like no one's watching. When I was teaching disco in high heels on the top of a Formica table in a high school cafeteria in Eugene, Oregon, and it paid $2.32 an hour because my partner got the $4 lead instructor. Don't even ask. I never fell, but I said to them, build me a stage. OSHA's going to have a problem with this. Sing like nobody's listening. I only sang once today. Love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart regrow, regroup, come out and learn to love again and love yourself. Money talks, right, Michele? Chocolate sings, right, everybody? La! And last but not least, I stole this line from a host I heard years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Ladies, wave goodbye. And I'm going to put on the closing music, which I don't have ready yet. Let me go to the close here. And here we go. All right, let me put the
akaRadioRed invites you to eavesdrop on her live, unscripted conversations with smart, savvy, creative people as she discovers what makes them tick, where they find their inspiration, when creativity first became their passion, and how their creative process can inspire the rest of us to think out of the box. Enjoy akaRadioRed's always lively, cool conversations with creatives. Oh, how those lips can talk.
Thank you. That was Ryan Treasure, the voice. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been